Eddie, do you still remember the song? Can you still sing it?
No, I definitely can't still sing it.
Are you serious?
If you like got it going and like maybe I heard the music,
So if I started, you would come in behind and like go a cappella with me right now? Like if we started
I think
singing?
I could.
You're not going to sing on the podcast with me?
I'll sing it if you sing it.
All
But,
right.
but I don't know the words.
Have you actually heard the real song, or is that the only way you've heard it? Is the guys singing it in the bar in England?
That's the only way I've heard it is when you would
You've
play.
never. It's Savage Garden, right, Scott?
That's right.
Truly, madly, deeply.
Yep.
It's a beautiful soccer song. You guys loved that song, man. That was like
It got us pumped up.
the most epic time of my coaching career was singing a song,
You guys
scaring
walking the field, singing.
scaring all these teams. We don't know if we scared them, but we were walking up singing. I mean, who sings walking up? Scott's got the music blasting, and all you guys are singing the song. And then like 95% of the games, we went out and just waxed whoever we were playing. So that was
Those were good times.
that was a really fun. That's a fun time of our time. Man, that was good. It also helped having Michael knowing he was going to score like 6 goals a game. So
Yeah, I'm just
that made it easy at times.
That was nice.
But for every Michael, you guys both had to play with the Coggins.
Yeah.
And that's just, like, I get why, I get why you guys are like, you know what? I'm done playing soccer. I had a fun time.
Yeah.
But no, those are good boys.
Still hang out with Justin. He was on our intramural team.
Oh yeah.
He slept in my apartment the other day. Actually,
He still got it.
him and his hamster. Yeah.
So is he back in town? Is Coggins back in town for the
Yeah, I
break?
think he's back.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I've got to get on him for some fish. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you guys go fishing with him?
I would in the summer a lot. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
he's
go
going-
with RB.
Yeah.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I'm going to call him right after the podcast.
Cool.
I'm going to force him to go get me some more tuna or something.
We'll see.
All right, Scott.
Well, I thought you were rolling with it, man. So
That was good.
okay,
Should we introduce the boys first?
yeah, we should.
All right.
You want to go oldest to youngest or youngest to oldest, guys?
Shortest to tallest.
Oops.
That would be introducing me first. By far, introducing me first. You guys got. Andrew's like almost a foot taller than me now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're
5'8".
so
Yeah, and I'm getting smaller. That's sure. Not my hairline's making me look taller. So we have Andrew. We have the Fiocca Bros. Are you guys trying to steal something from the Hewlett guys? Are you guys beginning a trick shot thing going on here? No, you're not famous yet.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got Andrew Fiocca, the younger of the two boys here. They actually have another older brother named Jimmy. But we got Andrew with us, and we got Eddie with us. Both boys are current students at Virginia Tech, and they grew up playing in the Virginia Legacy Soccer Club. And Eddie had the joy of being coached by myself and Coach Scott Cooper over here for some of the best soccer teams ever. Andrew, I never had you as a player on my team, did I?
No.
Man, we missed out. We
Yeah,
could have had some fun. Man. We missed out. You had to settle for bad coaches like Steve Shaw and those guys, man. Jeez. Bobby, man, that guy doesn't win anything. Man.
Yeah.
I have to correct you. I was pretty much eye candy. I wasn't really a coach. It was just
Yeah.
I was just
You
there
were
to
the voice.
out.
If we were being interviewed, we set you up to the camera.
But yeah, we can talk about kind of, your guys' decisions that you were making as you were getting out of high school and, what your options, not really what your options were, but like what you were thinking and what was the priority as you were coming out of high school, right? I mean, is that what you were thinking, Cheese? Like just understanding your decision-making process and, you guys were super into soccer as kids and all through high school. And then you come to the point where, college soccer is an option or, but what's really cool is what you guys are doing now. Well, Eddie's done, he's retired and hung up and, old man. But yeah, I mean, just talk about we'll start with you, Eddie, because you're older and your story is first. And so just kind of walk through growing up playing for Cheese, playing for Shaw, and just, high school soccer and where your head was as you approached the end of your youth career and had some choices to make?
Yeah, so obviously I started off as a goalie, had some good times in net, got too short, had to move out, and then that's sort of when everything changed. I started getting on the field, so that was my freshman year of high school. So it really took me freshman year and sophomore year to sort of just like catch up, get my touchdown, like just get organized, know where I was, stuff like that. And then junior year was when I started to think about, what am I going to do next steps? What am I going to study in school? Where am I going to go to school? And that's sort of when soccer started to pick up for me. I like sort of fell in love with the game, was confident in my abilities, and COVID kind of threw everything for a loop when I started having to make those sort of decisions. And parents always like harped on academics, and at the time I had Jimmy, our older brother, who was at Tech already, so it was sort of easy for me to just follow suit. I did sort of have some interest in playing in places, but like I said before, I was not super confident in my abilities until my senior year, so I was a tiny bit late on that front. Obviously went and talked to Cheese, went and talked to BMI, realized I didn't want to play there, and then sort of just pursued academics and left soccer back burner in that front.
Yeah, you had an interesting route too. I mean, during that time, how tall did you grow from your freshman year to your senior year? How much did you grow?
I want to say I was like 5'5" or 5'6", and then when I graduated, I was probably 6 foot.
Right. I mean, that's such a big jump during such a critical time. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've talked to families and they're asking me questions about their freshman or even a lot of times their sophomore kid, and they're still babies. And you can see it in their face, you can see it in their muscles and everything. Like, oh man, this kid is still a baby. And it just wouldn't be fair to recruit you today. I mean, you're nothing like you're going to be. I mean, and you're a perfect example. I mean, 7, 8 inches later, you're a whole different human being. 18 months, you've grown that much. And can you imagine if the only time I watched you play was your sophomore year and I didn't do any homework on you as a senior? I mean, how different were you from the end of your sophomore year to the beginning of your senior year? It's just a massive jump. And, like you have to adjust as well. Your body has to get used to having longer legs and, like if the range of motion and everything, your muscle memory, all that had to adjust as well. And, so it's no wonder that you didn't feel comfortable until you were a senior. And, that's actually okay timing. There's some kids that do that during their senior year and even later. I mean, we talk to Jamie Gunderson all the time, the women's soccer coach here at CNU. He grew as a college student, and he didn't become the best player he was until after college. I mean, what a late timeline. He was a heck of a soccer player, but it just took him longer. And so interesting road you had to go through. And you're right, you were a heck of a goalie, but I don't think you got shorter. The goal just got too tall for you.
Yeah,
And it's funny to think like it. Yeah, if you stayed with it, you would have been a 6'1", great goalkeeper. And it's just interesting to see what path that was going to go. I mean, you also have to like it, which I get it. I don't want my kids to play goalie. I respect the position. Don't get me wrong, but they're going to be. I'm 5'8". My wife's shorter than me. They're not touching the crossbar. Right, they're not touching the crossbar. So Tuck will make some header saves, I'm assuming, but that's about it.
Yeah.
But that's great. I want to jump into your decision part in a little bit. I want to kind of jump back and forth. Andrew, yours was a little different. Why don't you kind of run down your process, kind of, going out of your sophomore year, starting to think about it and then what it looked like from there.
Yeah, so I think I was in a little different situation than Eddie because I'd played defender my whole life. I'd been tall pretty much my whole life. So I was always just center back, everything. And then I think it came around to having Norris as our coach. And like individually, he would talk to each player like at least like once in the season. Like he'd pull me over and say like, hey, like, what are you thinking about college? Like, what's your plan? Like, I think, and he said like, you could play pretty much, I think, any D3, and in the right situation, you could play D1. And at that point, I was like, I had never really like actually thought about it. And like Eddie said, like we've always been like academic, and I've always kind of looked up to these two. So usually I like to do whatever they do. So I'd say that definitely influenced my decision. But I mean, I love the game, but I still like wanted my education to be at the highest. So at that point, I kind of had to decide, like, do I think I'm like good enough to play somewhere where I also think my education will be at the highest place that's also like pretty close to home. And so by the time like later into my junior year, early in senior year, I hadn't really reached out to anyone or said anything. And I was kind of content with my decision to just like study engineering at Virginia Tech. So
yeah, that's your biggest wrinkle, of course. It's not just engineering; it's mechanical engineering.
mm-hmm.
And I mean, like, look, I think CNU is a great place, but when a kid says engineering, I don't continue until I know what type of engineering. You know, we're one of many schools that do not have mechanical engineering. And you're at the school in the state of Virginia that has a wonderful, wonderful mechanical engineering program. And if you want to study mechanical engineering and you reach out to me, I tell you no immediately. I mean, unless it's like I'm looking at these other three majors, then I'll pry a little bit more. But if you, like yourself, I'm going to study mechanical engineering, I would not have even called you. You know, I mean, that's just or if we did speak, I would have kicked you out of my office right after that. You know, so it's, you made a big decision there and you focused on one thing. And I think that's awesome. You know, it just shows, and this is where this specific podcast is going today. These two young men decided to go to school. They chose the school that fit them the most out of all the criteria and decided to play club soccer instead and had wonderful careers. They still, you know, enjoyed themselves, got to play soccer with their good buddies, didn't have a specific college coach grinding on them, you know, like me with my guys here. And so you chose a different route. And, you know, Eddie, we were talking before the podcast a little bit because your mother and you sat down in my office and we did have a little bit of a conversation about you playing at CNU and about the possibilities there. And you said at the time, I might do this. If Cheese offers me a spot, I might do this, but it didn't seem like you were dead set and you ended up going to Tech despite, you know, our conversation, and that's great. And here we are almost 4 years later, almost graduating. Actually, we're probably 4 years later now. How happy are you with the decision and kind of why did you go that path and kind of put all that together for me?
So I'm really happy about my decision. There is obviously a tiny part of me that wished I played, you know, in some capacity in college, whether D3 at CNU or anywhere else. But I'm happy with my decision. I've been really satisfied with my education and also just with the club soccer experience overall. There's a lot of legacy guys on the team. Obviously, Andrew's on the team, so I get to play with my friends. And also, it's the sort of commitment thing is you make it. It is what you make it. So we are people that we go to every practice, we go to every game. But in terms of like the college experience, if you don't want to do that, you don't have to go to every game. You don't have to go to every practice. And that's one thing that's sort of desirable about club soccer. I think a lot of people get too wrapped into like practice and games for D1 or D3, and then they sort of fall out of love with the game because of like just the constant soccer all the time. And I think club is sort of a good outlet for those kind of characters that could have those type of feelings.
Andrew, you know, you're only 2 years in or 1.5, you know, do you echo those sentiments? I mean, kind of what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think there's, like Eddie, of course, said, like everyone, like I'd say even kids that go play soccer have that like feeling of like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done this, or maybe I should have gone this route or here or there. So like I agree with him, and I guess I still have a little bit of time if I wanted to, like playing more organized soccer somewhere. Always like entertaining that idea is always fun. But yeah, I mean there's like there's like a whole business aspect to club soccer too, like roles on the board, like what you were treasurer. Yeah, so there's like more responsibility. Like it is what you make it. You can, like next year I'll be vice president of it, which I think will look great on like resumes and things like that. And then I can also join other clubs, whereas like kids who play somewhere might not be able to do other things they're interested in, or like spend all their time on their education and things like that. So yeah, I think it's just like a really great atmosphere and all, I believe.
Well, what you guys are showing is it's not I'm going to go play club soccer or college soccer or bust. Like that's not the option. Like that's not the best decision for every single person. And you both had options. Andrew, you talk about a Division I soccer coach, Chris Norris, telling you that Division I is a possibility for you, and definitely Division III is a possibility for you. And Andrew, you had a Division I offer, and you were sitting in my office, and we were talking about you coming and playing for me. So you guys had great situations, great offers. You guys were absolutely college soccer players. You could have gone to a fit and had a nice career, just like a lot of your club teammates did, and high school teammates. You decided to go a different route, and you're showing that this is also an excellent route. And I'm very proud of what you guys have accomplished as your old coach and just a big fan of your family. I'm very proud of what you guys accomplished. I think it's great, and I think that you guys are a success story. And I think that your messaging should go far and wide. I mean, this is Scott and I have been talking about meeting with you guys, and this is a different avenue. I was just on the transfer portal an hour ago. There's over 2,000 kids in it, and that's just from, majority of that, like probably 90% of that's just from the end of the season, November 6th for most kids. And that's a huge number of unhappy kids. And they chose for whatever reason. Now, there's obviously different reasons for that. There are some kids in there for grad transfer purposes that had nice careers and they just want to go get a grad degree. But there's a lot of kids in there that are unhappy with their decision, and they may have been happier going your route. And I think that the biggest problem that we're running across is kids don't even think about your route. They think of it as, no, I have to play. You both played with kids that went Division I and, went to big time Division III programs. And you think that, oh man, I have to do that too. No, you don't. That may not be what's best for you. And you really need to look into all of your options. See, maybe I love Virginia Tech like Andrew does, and I love the engineering program, the mechanical engineering program. Oh, I get to kick around and play with my older brother and my friends too. Yeah, that sounds a lot better. This is the route I need to go. It's going to set me up for 4 years from now. And I'm happy with the decision you guys made, and don't have any regrets, guys. Yes, you could have played college soccer. You can still tell people that, but I think that you should really harp on the successes that you've had in your 4 years, Andrew, or 2 years, Andrew, and 4 years, Eddie. And there's a lot to be proud of there, and a lot from your experience that you need to share with people. And no, I'm very happy for you guys.
Thank you.
Talk about the feelings. I know it's been longer for you, Eddie, but the feelings you had of maybe some pressure. I feel like I have to go play college soccer, or I really have to go explore it. And, maybe you were comparing yourselves to other teammates who are going that path, and, just how you just thought independently for yourselves and didn't let that affect you. And you just made a decision that you knew was going to be best for you.
So I never really felt all that pressure. Obviously, I played with some really, really talented guys. Obviously, Augie, Michael, Daniel, all of them. And it was sort of helpful to look at them and know that they were playing somewhere and know that they were sort of the guys on our team. So, I never really felt that pressure. I would say, yeah, just especially at home too, that was sort of an aspect that helped out. It's just our parents were do whatever you want to do. Obviously, academics are important. If you want to play soccer, you can, but soccer, it'll always be somewhere in some capacity is what I learned. Is even at Tech, even if I didn't play club, they have adult leagues, they have intramural, they have pickup all the time. So soccer will sort of always be there. But in terms of academics, I sort of wanted to shoot high and then figure out the rest.
Yeah, I'd agree a lot with that. I think at first, there's always that feeling you feel like you're letting down the people around you, or someone your teammate or friend will ask you what's your plan. But at the end of the day, it's how you want your own life to be set up, So I think back then, looking forward, I was if I have this 4-year degree, I could do almost anything I want to do, Whereas I go force like to play over here, maybe not get the degree I want. Like I just feel like I would be more set up with like the gifts I have if like I had this degree, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Let me ask you guys this, Scott. I'm cutting here. You mentioned pressure earlier. Tell me where would that pressure be coming from? Because I hear that, and it really, I think I agree with it, but I think that we need to look at it completely different.
Yeah. Yep.
I would say like just teammates, and for some people maybe at home. I understand there are families that obviously our family invested a lot of money, time into sort of our travel soccer like ventures, and we were blessed to not have that pressure. But I imagine some families do. And then just in terms of socially, maybe at school, you're the star player on your varsity team, and all your classmates are sort of asking you where you're going to go play, where you're going to go to school. I think some people sort of get pressure from that, but I was never really somebody in that scenario.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but hold on, Andrew, I'm going to get to you in a second, but Eddie, you were one of those guys. You were a top player on your high school team. Why didn't you feel that pressure? When people were asking you where you're going to go play, you had options. Why didn't you feel the pressure? What was your difference?
I guess I sort of tuned it out, and then I had a very open sort of relationship with my parents. So like whenever something like that came up, I would talk to them about it, and then they just sort of echo the same academics, do what you want to do, and sort of don't let anybody sort of change your path that you think you should go on.
Andrew, what do you got there?
Yeah, I was gonna say like it reminds me like the same. I feel like it would be the same pressure like telling someone you're playing like D3 somewhere instead of D1. I think a lot of people have this like condescending view, like, oh, you're just doing this or you're just doing that, like you have all these gifts and you're not like taking advantage of it like that. So I think like a lot of like super competitive people like on the teams I played with, like asked me like where I would play, and they seemed like let down when I gave them like, probably not. I think I'm just going to go like study engineering here. And then, what else was I going to say? I don't know. I think that's it for now.
It's interesting. Sean Trueblood, our top assistant here, sent our coaching staff a meme, or I guess this wouldn't be a meme, something off of Twitter. And it's a coach, the UMass coach. It says, I don't want 5-star players that become 3-star human beings. I want 3, 4, 5-star guys that want to become 10-star human beings. And then he finished with this one quote that I think is super relevant for what you're talking about. Don't tell me who you were when you were 18. I love that. I mean, that's such an important thing. And, here we are talking about you guys were 18 and people are like, wait, you're not going to play? Andrew, you were on that state championship team. And I think you scored some pretty important goals, right? That was an awesome time. And, you were the star. First team All-State. That used to mean like you're getting money somewhere probably. And you're like, no, I'm going to Tech.
He was
studying like mechanical engineer. You're a state player of the year.
Yeah.
I don't know how I missed that one, but state player of the year, and you're not going to go play college soccer, and people are like, what? How is that possible? And you're like, well, I'll talk to you when I'm 30 and I have some nice land. And,
yeah, exactly. I think it was also like I'm so like I feel like I'm excelling in this aspect, but like if you look at my grades and you look at my test scores, like I'm excelling here too, but people are not going to ask you about this one. Like they're going to look at the soccer and say like, I'm going to ask you about this. But they're not going to say like, how'd you do here? Like, congrats on this kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I as a D3 coach, I agree with the sentiment you're talking about now. I really agree with the, you're just going D3 question. I definitely, I've heard that. I've seen that. And I understand that. I was 17 years old once, I didn't want to go to Christopher Newport at first. That wasn't my first choice. So I totally understand. But it's such a breath, of fresh air to hear that, and to know that you can be super successful. You guys are awesome examples of, hey, I had the chances, but I didn't have to go, and I chose not to go. And I still love it. I still think I could have. And, I wonder from time to time, but, it always cracks me up. I see these kids posting these things all the time. Like, I committing to play, and the only thing that they're really talking about is they highlight the D1 and You know, like it's like such a big thing. And then they mention the school. They don't talk about what they're going to study. They don't discuss what their experiences are going to include. All they're doing is, hey, I have this chance to brag on something, so I'm going to do it. And I would have done the same thing. Don't get me wrong. I get it. But really, what we should be looking for is what this coach just said. Don't tell me what you were like when you were 18. You should be thinking, all right, I'm going to be 22 and I'm going to graduate. What am I getting accomplished from 18 to 22? And you guys are going to have a long list of things that you can say you accomplished, which includes soccer, which is such an important piece of this whole podcast. It's not just I played on a Division I roster or I went to CNU at a Division III school and I got a bunch of minutes and made a run. It's I also did all of these things that you guys accomplished, and it's awesome. You know, I'm super, like I said earlier, I'm super proud of what you guys did as a college soccer coach that recruits kids regularly. I'm super proud of what you did. And I think your messaging really should go far. I mean, there's so many kids sitting here right now in your shoes, and they don't know what to do, and really they do. The answer is right in front of them, and you know, I hope those boys make the right decisions.
Thank you. And just to touch on that one more time, I think like a lot of people get caught up with the sort of like that D1 status or D3 status. And it's like we never really cared about that. Like if we go on the field, we love competition, we love winning. We've played with great players and played against great players all the time. We weren't sort of chasing that sort of status of being D1 or D3. We knew like if we're obviously together or even just separate and we're playing in some competitive capacity, like we'll have fun. We still love winning. We still love playing, and we're sort of content with where we're at in that sense.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that is kind of a recurring theme is that, you know, the things that you take, what you take out of the college soccer experience is like the friendships that you'll have for life. And, you know, it's not necessarily that you talk about what happened on the field. It's, you know, the trips or the just being around the guys kind of thing. And you guys still have that. Like you still are going to have friends for life from that experience. And you got to play with your brother and other, you know, and Coggins. But, you know, it's a cool thing. Like, and you still have like the same, you're still going to leave playing club soccer at Virginia Tech with the same, you know, I don't know, friendships and that sort of thing, which is ultimately what is probably the most important part of it, right? If you're not going to do it as a career. So,
yeah, I also want to add the level itself is also very surprising. When I made the team, the same year me and Eddie made the team, two of the kids that also made the team tried out for the D1. One is on the roster right now, and then the other one is practicing with them in the spring. And it was just like playing with them is just like so fun. Like it's such a high level. The other day, like we were both invited, but you were busy with something, right? We were invited to play with like just pick up with like 3 of the D1 kids, a few of the club kids. And it's just like playing with them is like so much fun. Like it's just such a high level where it's not as, not so much structure and like pressure and that intense, but it's still just like a high level and it's so fun.
Yeah, I went to your guys' game when you were here. You know, I enjoyed watching you guys play. Of course, I wanted to support you, but I remember watching the game and saying, oh, like a bunch of your kids on the Virginia Tech team, I was giggling. I was like, I recruited that kid. I recruited him. I remember him. He was on this top team for Arlington or whatever. I mean, you're right. I mean, all of those teams are very good. Do you have tryouts?
Yes.
Right. So, you know, there's so many good soccer players in the state of Virginia, and, you know, if more of them choose to go your route, I would imagine that the club soccer landscape would skyrocket. And I once again, I'm just super happy about it. I loved that. I loved watching that and seeing all those kids out there again and seeing that they're still playing and getting after it too, by the way. I mean, that was a good game until it wasn't at the end there. And so it was fun to watch. And, you know, it was, like you said, it's highly competitive. I heard, is your game with JMU the big one? Is that the biggest one?
Yeah, that's usually the biggest one.
Yeah. Now you guys won it all this year. You won the league.
Yes, we won the league, we won the region, and we were national runner-ups.
Who'd you lose to in the national tournament?
BYU. I don't know if you know anything about them, but they don't have a D1 team.
Oh, they don't have a
That's their team.
They don't have a varsity team.
No.
We're out there
Okay.
like setting up our own drills, picking up our own cones. They have 3 coaches, 3 trainers, like
Matching backpacks,
matching backpacks,
all that.
like,
You guys all had your club backpacks out there.
Yeah, I'd like to see them.
Well, how did the game go?
They were just
They're
good.
really good.
Well, we conceded 2 goals and they were both set pieces, but they were sort of another level.
Their
So
goalie,
they were a legit college team, varsity, all of them, and
they recruited their 6'6" goalie from Germany to come play for them.
They're
come play club soccer.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But they've won like 8 out of the last 9 years. They haven't lost since 2018. It's just
Jeez.
They're pretty good.
Where did you play that game?
Austin, Texas.
So you were able to the school flew you down? That's part of your budget? No.
It was like sort of half our club budget and half out of pocket.
That's what I mean. So you guys raised the money and went your route so you could pay for it, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. No, I mean, what a cool experience. How long were you down there?
Like Wednesday to Sunday. So 5 days, 4 days.
So you were to play, and that was not just to play BYU. You played a couple games, right?
Yeah, that was a whole national tournament.
Oh, cool.
What was it, like 6 games?
Yeah, 6 games. Played.
Did mom or dad come down?
Mom did.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
We had a group of 3, made it out of our group, and then just elimination games until the final.
Yeah.
Who all did you play? Were there D3 schools down there too?
Mm-mm.
No. Our group was
Bigger.
Colorado and UCLA, and then we
Gotcha.
played Missouri, Ohio State, Rutgers, and then BYU.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Yeah. There were some.
Yeah, and talk about experience. So you guys are going to graduate and you get to experience that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a great story that you get to share, and that's not everybody's experiencing that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's it's definitely something to be proud of, and it's awesome.
So talk about like becoming a part of that. You said there's tryouts and just walk. So for someone who's a junior, senior in high school, who's kind of contemplating, pass down the lessons you learned from going through the process of getting on the club team, and then what a season's like, and training, and everything that kind of comes with it.
So tryouts are usually in the fall, and what sort of makes it different from like club soccer and also like high school soccer is just sort of the club aspect as well. Like people go in there just thinking it's just off of soccer, but it's sort of like you gotta network in a sense, make friends, which was kind of the part Andrew and I sort of hated when we tried out, because like we know we're quality players, and I was thankful to have him sort of with me in the tryout process. And so that's sort of how it works. Everybody just shows up for tryouts, and then the board of the club, so it's like usually 5 guys, then they make the decision. And fall is usually where we have like most of our practices, and that's when regionals and nationals are. So we'll practice probably 3 nights a week for like 2 hours, and that's the typical practice. And then games are on the weekends, not every weekend, and they sort of dodge the football schedule. So that's sort of when games are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's all all student run. So a lot of times, like, people like know one guy, or like this guy gets him in because he knows him or something like that. So when I arrived, like, I was going to play pickup soccer, like almost every chance I could, like on the weekends or whatever. So I would like be playing with guys, and someone would walk up and be like, "Hey, that guy's like the vice president," or like, "That guy's the president," and I'd say, "All right, I'm gonna go stick it to that guy and just score on him." And then like, so you make the team, and then making the team to like actually playing is also just like a huge jump. So yeah, like you had to be at every practice. You had to like show up, don't mess up, blah, blah, blah. So we would have like starters versus like new kids and subs scrimmages at practice. And me and Eddie would just be like, all right, let's just go like make a fool of the starters and just win. And so eventually we got on our
It
got on the
worked
team.
itself out. Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on being on a team without a coach? Like is there any hiccups with that?
So there are definitely hiccups, and also when you play other teams, you can tell if they have a coach or not. Like just basic organizational and like tactics, you can definitely tell. Like UCLA, we played them; they had all sorts of tactics. They have a coach, but in terms of like, it definitely is a challenge having it being student run. We're lucky to have a good president, but there are times where like it's hard to separate sort of friends and soccer, especially for those people in those positions. So I imagine it can be a struggle. And then on the other side of that, it is sort of annoying sometimes when you're a top 11 player and you're not getting time. That can be sort of troublesome.
That sounds familiar.
We were lucky enough to have. We had a grad student who had played D3 and was from England come like help us out and coach us a little.
That's
and
cool.
Then we have one kid on the team who played at MIT who did like some of the coaching too, just to try and get us all under like one system and like learn a few new things. So yeah.
Now, but the guys making the decisions were also players.
Yes, for the most part. But we had that one coach dude from England who was sort of he didn't make the decisions, but he just sort of coached us and got organization.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it could get tricky. Where you better hope that's like the absolute best player or someone that put all biases aside. Right.
Respect from everyone can be difficult. Yeah.
Sure. So if you could do it over, would you want there to be like? Do you guys ask? Is there someone that could coach us? Is there somebody out there and you vet the process, or is this none of that? I bet you there's someone on faculty there, that's someone in the staff that could help out.
Yeah, they could help, but I think it's sort of on us to get them, figure out how to pay them and stuff like that. So, and I mean, we've been doing all right just on our own. So I think we'll probably stick with that. I don't know what all goes into the decision to get a coach for those other schools, but like just talking to some of the guys in the field, they kind of hate having a coach sometimes. For like, every other reason that people don't like having a coach. But
I don't know. What are you talking about? I feel like coaches are perfect. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Is there like a governing body of club soccer? Like
yes, so it's the club sports office. And they they have our budget. We have to ask them to sort of spend money, and then we just like get their permission to play, get their permission to like travel and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. So is there but nationally, is there a governing, like someone that put the tournament together and that sort of thing?
It's called Nursa. I don't know what it stands for, but they sort of host all the regional and national tournaments. Mm-hmm. And then the women, so it was nice. Like they had all sorts of people there, trainers, medical, stuff like that.
Oh, that's fantastic. They have rules you have to abide by. I mean, like our NCAA law book is like that thick. I mean, is there like rules you have to abide by? Is there anything you guys have to make sure you're aware of?
I think just in terms of like hours, like you have to have a certain amount of hours in school. Like you have to be a student, obviously. And then I'm not sure in terms of like other rules.
What about like eligibility? Is it 4 years like regular? Like
definitely not. We have 26-year-old student. But he's
on his 8th year.
Yeah. He's the one that played 4 years at MIT, and now he's just our guy. So he'll be there longer than Andrew will be there. He's 26.
Dan Wilder. Love it. Love that.
He's like a PhD student.
Yeah.
Do you try to scoop up the guys that they're done playing, but they're going to stick around for a grad program, or they have more time left on their academic career, so that you guys scoop them up for the season?
Every once in a while they'll come practice with us, but I don't think those guys I don't think they take us seriously.
Okay.
I think they're starting to come around because like our guy who plays on the D1 team now is sort of like showing us off in some aspects, but
when I went and played pickup with like the few of the D1 kids, and they like told our like mutual friend, they were like, wow, those guys are kind of like all right, those guys are pretty good. And so they'll come in the spring. Like last year we had a guy who was like transferring, but he couldn't like transfer something until the fall, so he practiced with us like in the spring. So that was nice.
Cool. So yeah, so walk through like what you guys went through in this national tournament, and give us the highlights of the games and the intensity and your feelings going through that.
Yeah, so it's sort of like a common style of play. It's a lot of athleticism, not a lot of, I wouldn't say not a lot of technicality, but definitely significantly less technicality than like D3. So we played Colorado and UCLA in our group. We beat Colorado and then tied UCLA. And so the top two teams in every group made it out. And so we played Missouri the next morning. So we would usually play 2 games a day. It'd be like 1 game at night, or 1 game in the morning, 1 game at night. So Friday morning we played Missouri, and then Friday night we played Rutgers. And then Saturday was sort of the championship day. So we played Ohio State in the morning and then BYU in the big stadium like early afternoon.
Yeah, and I'd say within like the first 5-10 minutes of each game, you could find like 3 players and you're like, all right, these are their guys. Like these guys are good. Yeah. And so everyone just kind of had like almost the same level. Like the average level was about the same, but you could just tell like the star players were like very good. Like UCLA had this short kid who was very good. Their striker was very good. They had 2 like 6'4" center backs that were like 220 pounds. They were scary.
But the sort of the style of play is just the same. It's just like sort of bully ball, long throws, like
until BYU.
Yeah, and then BYU is just a different animal.
That sounds familiar.
What happened in the championship game?
Oh my gosh!
So we held them 0-0 until the half, and then it's just like at that point it was our 6th game, and they look fresh as can be. Like Andrew and I, we played most every minute of every game, so like we were tired. Like just being honest.
Yeah, at the end of the game, I couldn't kick the ball with my right leg because my like butt was so tight that it just hurt every single time. But they were just. Yeah,
they just had a set piece where he rolled it forward, and then the dude just slotted it in the bottom left corner, and then we gave it a PK, and that was sort of the game.
You could tell they had 3 coaches. It felt like they had an extra player than us. I don't like every single player's touch was just the next level. It was really just the next level.
How much would you pay a coach? All right, I'm looking for a job. I'm gonna come out. I'm moving to Blacksburg. What's the budget?
You a lot.
Sounds fun. A good trip to Austin. Is it in Austin every year?
I think so.
Yeah. So
where were your regionals held?
Ours were in Henrico, I think.
Yeah.
So it was at a common spot. You didn't have to like go to a school and play at their place.
No, it's like a common spot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the season like? Do you guys travel pretty far, or is it all like just jump in a van or a car and go?
Yeah, this season I think our furthest was CNU. So we have about 6 games, I want to say, a season. Mm-hmm. And it includes teams like UVA, William & Mary, CNU, JMU, Radford. Yeah. And so usually we'll just switch, like if we played you home last year, we'll play you away this year kind of thing. And then we'll have like the regional tournament towards, when was that?
Halloween weekend.
Yeah. Regional tournament Halloween weekend. And then nationals is a few weeks after that.
Can you make your own schedule? Like, do you just contact the other schools and work it out that way?
Yes. So our president would contact the other presidents and then run it by both club sport offices and then sort of.
What are your roles with the team?
I was the treasurer, so I would just handle like dues, like equipment, stuff like that. And then Andrew,
you were the guy hounding people for money, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
Yeah. I'll be the vice president this upcoming season. And then the year after that, I'll be the president. We have a new system. You have to be vice president to be president. So got to be vice president.
There's no vote or anything. You're just going to go take the job.
I ran alone. So there is a vote, but no one ran opposed to me. So.
All right.
But he still had to get voted in for president. Yes.
Yeah. You only got 1 vote.
Yeah. He'll get it.
Did you vote for him, Eddie?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So you're making decisions. You're going to be the guy that's still hanging on and like staying on the field when there's someone better than you, like your senior year. You're going to be like
that guy, Andrew.
I'm gonna have to like, be buddy with everyone, and then make the roster and cut off all my friends. So everyone's gonna hate me, but we'll see.
Cool.
But yeah.
What else you got, Cheese?
That's it. I mean, I think the message was awesome. I think what you guys said was great, and I think there's a stigma, around it. Like you said, I mean, there's a stigma D1 to D3. I'm a D3 coach, and so I know that stigma really well, and I know there's a stigma between playing and not playing, and like you said, some of the pressures, socially, and maybe from families, but I think it's more your peers. Yeah. Like the guys in school that are like, well, you're not going to play. I don't get it. And I think that there's plenty of people out there that did choose to go that may have been in your shoes and could have had a different situation. And they're like, no, I have to go play. And so you choose a school that you may not have liked as much. And next thing you know, this is a different podcast for you. This is I wish I played instead. I wish I chose a different path instead. And I think it's great to have this message out there. I think it's a super important message. And I appreciate you guys being on here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say, like, I'm so impressed by like your guys' wherewithal when you were in high school to just say, you know what, screw everybody. We're like to have the maturity to just be independent thinkers and not be swayed and just like know that you had to do what's best for yourselves was it's like great, and like it should be like the norm of how people make their decisions. So
yeah, I think it's very intelligent to like sit with yourself and say, like, I go play soccer and then what? So how do I set myself up when I'm playing soccer to go play? Because I know a lot of kids like Michael Hackworth. I know him like since high school. He was like, yeah, I want to study cybersecurity. And I was like, all right, like, so you're going to go play, like, can you study there? And he was like, yeah, CNU has a great like cybersecurity place. And I was like, all right, yeah, that's perfect, man. Like, it's good to see like, people
ended up
themselves up.
Yeah, that's exactly how he ended up here. And there's not a lot of options for it. I think his other option was in Florida.
Tampa.
And and so, that's a perfect set. If we didn't have that, he's a kid that I really wanted to come play for us, and I offered him a spot. But if we didn't have that program with how badly he wanted to study it, I would have done the same thing that I would have done to you, Andrew, and said, well, you got to go to, I think it was Tampa. You got to go to a different place, and you shouldn't come to school here. And so, I tell people all the time, it's your money. It's your 4 years. I mean, can you imagine spending 4 years and that kind of money on something and not looking at the whole scale of things? And I mean, can you imagine buying a car or a house and only looking at the garage?
Yeah.
Looking at one piece of the puzzle and spending that kind of money. I mean, you have to look at the entire foundation. What am I getting out of this? What's the investment? Am I going to love this after 4 years? And if the answer isn't yes, before you make the decision in playing all the scenarios through your head, if the answer isn't yes, you shouldn't go to that school, plain and simple. And I think you guys were able to know that you guys could have predicted you'd be in the situation you're in right now 4 years ago, Eddie, 2.5 years ago for you, Andrew. You could have predicted like, oh man, I'm going to be able to play some club soccer. I'm going to get this awesome degree. You already know the great things that Tech can offer. You get to go to those football games and, enjoy the Hokie Stone and, the great cafeteria that you guys have there. It's a cool school. And you guys knew that was going to happen. And I mean, how great is that? Your investment, you knew it was going to happen. And I'm just, it's a great story. I mean, I'm glad you guys chose the route that you chose.
And you worked your schedule around football games, so you got to see Enter Sandman all the time. And
entertainment.
Yeah.
Well, let's just hope that the performance on the field improves next year. So, as a fellow,
Now, I visited there quite a bit. My best friend was I think he played. I don't know if he played club or just intramural soccer. I think it was. I don't remember. I have to ask him. But we always frequented Tots. I'm assuming it's still a pretty hopping spot there.
Yeah, that's pretty pop.
Yeah, that's a fun place. I have some faded memories from that place. Go Hokies. Enjoyed my football games before and after a trip to Tots.
Let's not get ourselves in trouble.
No. It's a good establishment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good food.
Just stay away from the rail drink.
Mm. Definitely stay away.
All right. Anything else? What you guys got?
Yeah.
Nothing?
Good stuff, guys. Let's get some dinner while you guys are home. Let's get some of the boys together and get some dinner.
Yeah, all right. We're good with that.
Call Justin, tell him to go catch us some dinner, and I'll cook it
Yeah.
up. Okay?
All right.
All right, hold on. Oh, shoot. No, hold on. I almost hit the wrong button.